Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Versations Volume 2 or Episode 2. We have a doozy for you today. So today's topic is Black Mirror, fact or fiction? And you're going to see where we're going with it as we get into this. So, you're a fan of Black Mirror, right?
Indeed.
Tell us why.
I'm not usually into this stuff, as you know very well. You know, it was just, for me, it's so close to the future. It's frightening. For me, it's almost like, all right, this is what's going to happen to humanity. This is how we are evolving or devolving because of technology. And that's why I found it intriguing. The first episode, very weird.
What was the first one again? Remind me.
The Prime Minister had to do some unsavory things with an animal.
Yeah. Pork-based product, I believe. Yep.
And what confused me was I didn't know they were all self-contained episodes. So where it's finished the first one and it's just slid into the second one and it's so different, the second one. I thought Netflix had slid it into some other episode, some other thing. So I'm watching it. I kind of switched off. Anyway, I'm glad I went back because it got better and better. And I was like, wow, this is really trying to say something here, you know? So yeah, I'm a fan of it. Put it that way.
All right. In brief, I will say exactly the same thing. I'm a fan for very similar reasons. I'm more of a sci-fi head generally than you. Not that it's a sci-fi series per se, but it has elements. And I'm a fantasy guy as well. Again, elements, not really that type of show. But again, the idea that it has these self-contained dioramas that present these really extreme perspectives that are really just extensions of existing sort of things that we need to deal with in our society. So they're kind of projecting them forward, so it feels like, oh, this is really extreme, like, oh, what is this? It's really out there. But for me, it's really not that out there at all. It's a few steps forward kind of thing. So let's get into this.
I would agree. Because it was quite new to me, the first season was really like explosive. Certain episodes. The one that hit me was, I think it may have been called White Bear.
Ah, right, yeah.
Yeah, am I right? Yeah,
I believe so. Which one is that?
That's the one where the girl wakes up, the woman wakes up, and she doesn't know what's happening. Yeah, and then there's this weird sign, and she goes out, and everybody's got their camera phones on her, and then she's chased and stuff like that. That's so close to reality because we see that happening today. Some people, members of the public, may be in a situation, and before other members of the public help, they get out their phones to film them. Oh yeah. So it's so, do you know what I mean? It's so real. It's like, basically for me, it's almost like, what is the writer of Black Mirror trying to say with this particular episode? Entertainment has become the new god over humanity in that particular episode, even though there was like a twist at the end or something like that. She was being punished. She was in a game show, something to that effect. Yeah. But yeah, it was literally look, entertainment or attention is a new drug. So obviously, if you post something, you're gonna get all those likes and the hits and stuff. So entertainment is the new drug or the new god that surpasses helping out a fellow human being. That's what I got from it. How about you?
For me, very similar vibe. But for me, it was even more poignant just because it's a throwback to something that's been coming for such a long time, something that we've been seemingly aware of in our nature. Because you can go all the way back to Schwarzenegger's Running Man in the 80s. The concept is exactly the same.
Right, so educate me, please.
Oh, so The Running Man was like a sci-fi flick set undetermined amount of time in the future, but not that far, where basically they took criminals and they would put them into this game show called The Running Man, where basically they would be trying to escape from these guys who were going to kill them. Yeah, so, and each of these guys had a special something. There's a guy called Electro, and they had not powers, but they gave him all sorts of machines that allowed him to throw electricity, and he had a car. There were other dudes that could do various things. So they came across almost like superheroes. They're just gadgets to give them different powers. There's Pyro, a fire guy, blah, 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 blah. But that was the whole concept of it. The criminals were thrown into this thing and nobody cared because they're criminals. So that's how the government kind of justified that whole idea. So that was the idea that had evolved. They put them in a show, and if you won, you got to go off and be free. Your sentence was commuted. You got to go off on a holiday, blah, 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 blah. Twist is, no one ever does that because even the people that they say have won and they show pictures of, it's all faked. All those people have been killed. Yeah? So
that's that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant movie. If you've never seen it, it's a really, for its time, not even for its time, it's a good movie of its type. You know what I mean? But even then, we were aware of our rising kind of bloodlust and our kind of rising, as you said, putting entertainment over humanity, or being able to conceptualize it in that way. So for me, that's fascinating, the idea that we are empathic beings, but our empathy can easily be intellectually kind of underplayed. We can put aside that which we think of as being integral to us, like our empathy for other human beings, and don't want to see someone else in pain, but we can justify it if we put something else under it. So I don't want to see anyone get chased down and murdered and killed. Oh, he's a paedophile? Put him in that game show, I'll watch him die. Kind of thing. You know, there are, things which overlay that. Like for you, what's your feeling in that kind of area?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I wish I disagreed with you.
We're making an interesting discussion.
Yeah, no, you're right. We are, in my opinion, we're devolving as a race, as a species.
Interesting.
And that really is due to technology and the nurture aspect of it, and where it's putting our brains and maybe the becoming obsolete. I think we've actually got another subject I don't want to go too deep into, but the smartphone dumb people.
Right.
External brain. So we'll touch that another time. But no, Black Mirror is crazy, because what I liked about, after I started to understand, okay, these are all self-contained things, different actors, different grading, different countries, everything.
Yes.
I was like, oh wow, what's this one? And because I'm not really usually into something like that, and it was able to engage me. There was one that was weird, but I know also this is where it may already have happened, because they show certain things that's happened in certain parts of the country of the world that we're not privy to until years later. So there was one where the woman's husband died, and there was some kind of technology that could bring him back into it's almost like an AI thing. Yeah. So his same body and the same kind of basically his personality transplant into this robot. And it was so real for her. The only difference is, in the bedroom, he was performing a lot better than he did when he was alive.
And I didn't see this episode. Right.
Okay, yeah, you got to go back and watch it. And it was just weird. It was just really, really weird. But still, just to understand that. And we've had this discussion, how far would you go? How far would you push your humanity? We've talked about the immortality pill. You know what I'm saying? And so I know there's going to be a plethora of people that if they lost somebody, they would use that technology. They would use that technology. And what would be the outcome of that? What would be what would be
the end point? Where would it go?
Yeah. Or what would be I'm trying to say is what would that do to them? Where would what would be the value then of a real human? If you could really, really create the most, and I know they're working on it. I know they probably already locked it down, where you can create, say, another version of you, but none of your flaws are there.
Intriguing.
And you've got the same conversation you would have with your missus or whatever, the same conversation, everything is the same, but you're like the latest operating system all the time, and there's no flaws. Then you're like, well, actually, don't really need humans like that. We could. So it's deeper. It can go deeper and stuff like that.
Before we talk about the Black Mirror as a whole, let's fling out some other episodes that really stood out to us.
Can you remember any other ones?
So one that really stands out to me and I found incredibly powerful. There's one that had Toby Kebbell in it, and it was one where they have they're able to play back their real-time memories, because there's a chip in their brain, which is the replay thing.
That constant was a powerful episode.
Incredible. So for anyone who didn't see it, basically there's a chip.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry, should have said that for the whole episode. There's a chip in each person's brain that they can control themselves with a little controller that they have, and they can replay anything they've seen or experienced at any moment in time. It's all classified in there.
Slow it down, rewind it, see it from different angles.
Precisely. Zoom in, zoom out, etc. Find details. Real quick synopsis. He's on the skids with his job. He's trying to get another job. We see him at first in an interview, and he's kind of clearly not happy with the way the interview's going or has gone. He leaves. He goes to meet his girlfriend at a dinner party. He sees her clearly flirting with some other dude. Anyway, episode goes on. And it kind of plays with your perceptions of things and gets you to feel like he's a paranoid individual. Until later on in the episode, we see him zooming in and out. He's going a bit crazy watching this episode of the girl flirting with this other dude. Then, long story short, he finds out in the end this guy has been having an affair with his girl. He zooms in on a particular memory that he steals from the other guy. He goes,
how does he? Sorry, how does he access? Because he accesses her memory or something, doesn't he?
He does eventually. He gets her to access her, because what they can do is they can cast the memories to a TV so that other people can see it and share it. So he eventually gets her to cast a memory. Go on.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Because there was something I think they did in his bedroom, in their bedroom.
Yes.
And then he recognized something.
In the memory of the bedroom,
yeah.
And and that allowed him to place the affair, because she claimed it was something that happened years ago. He was able to place the affair and says, look, this was in the house at the time. We recently, etc. Or when they were apart for a few days. So long story short, the concept that this brings up is there going to be an issue when we become enhanced in that way? When we have complete control, is it? We all have that thing where, like, God damn it, I can't remember. Short-term memory is a terrible thing, but then long-term memory, oh damn, I can't remember these things that happened when I was 13, but that person over there remembers. That kind of vibe. Would it be a positive thing in our lives to have complete control, complete recall? Because we already have that thing of a witness is the worst person to ask about a crime, because they make up details, they fill in blanks because of the way our brains, because we're pattern machines, we can't have a gap. We fill it in with something that we invent. So is it going to be a real positive thing for us or a negative to have full recall? What are your thoughts?
100% negative.
Tell us why.
Wow. Okay. Where do I start? So, not to get religious or spiritual or anything like that, but I think we're designed a certain way to be a certain way. And I don't mean that enhancements are not good. Some enhancements can be good. There was the cell replacement and all that stuff there can help people live longer and all that stuff there. But when you start to play with mind and memory and all them stuff there, for me, leave that alone. That's just my kind of my moral compass. We saw the effects, the negative effects of what it had on this particular couple. The other side of that is, well, actually, if you know that everything is being watched and can be recalled, then you maybe have to walk a straighter line in your behavior. But then, I don't know. It's just a no to me. It's just a no. I don't really have a very rational reason as to why it's a no.
It feels wrong to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to participate in that. I mean, for crimes, it's awesome for crimes, for fighting crime. But nah. I mean, what say you?
I'm kind of mixed on it, to be honest with you. Like, I see obviously the definite benefits for each individual in their everyday life in terms of having perfect recall of things. It means that learning becomes a very different experience. It means that interactions between individuals become based on knowable facts as opposed to hazily remembered things, kind of thing. It means I'd probably win a few more arguments with my girlfriend, because I could actually say, no, this is how it happened. Here we go. But the flip side, you've got legal implications. How does the law step into that? How does society then judge at what point it's allowable to demand that someone else replay their memories, share their memories, show their memories for legal purposes? Where does it end? Do we get to a point where if you're even in the scene of something that happened, police can immediately demand that you download all the memories from that day and give it to their database? What happens with those? What happens if you had sex an hour before you were at the scene of this crime and all those memories have been taken up? Who's observing them?
And you didn't perform well.
Whoa! There's implication, and that's the mildest kind of side of it that could be a negative side effect.
Yeah. Just to add to that, actually, I just had a thought when you're speaking, is that there's a kind of, like, I believe we would not, most of us wouldn't be able to live in the present. Because we'd be so obsessed with, okay, what really happened there? Let me take my time and watch that back. Figure out what happened there and how I could have done it better, or how I could whatever. And then you're just constantly living in the past, which is kind of robbing you of life. So that's another, as you were speaking, there's another thing that popped into my mind.
That is a bloody good point of view. I mean, enough of us live in the past now without that perfect recall ability.
Indeed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. How many of us would sit there just reliving our best moments?
Yeah.
Or how many depressed people would sit there, or anxious people would sit there going over and over and over again, the bad interview, the bad this, the bad interaction, or reliving abuse.
Yeah. So it sounds like you agree with me. Because you was on the fence, but it sounds like you jumped off the fence 2 feet and you're like, you know what?
It sounds like that. But like I said, initially I see the absolute everyday positives, but I also see other positives, like, okay, so imagine in terms of a therapeutic space. In a therapeutic space right now, if you've been, let's take an extreme example, if you've been severely abused in one way, shape or another, and you're working with a therapist to work through those things, how much value would there be? Because the damage of that abuse is the long-term damage. I mean, hopefully you're not physically permanently damaged, God forbid, but I mean, you know, the long-term damage of that is mental. What if you could excise that memory, just as they were able to edit, delete? What if you could entirely erase, work with that person to build up other aspects of their being, and then at the right time erase the source of that trauma?
Is anything ever really erased? And I leave that open to anything.
That's a fair question.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to that as well. It's just policing it.
Yeah.
And it's that autonomy that the individual has. And yeah, everybody will walk around like that. Seriously, everybody, because they already walk like that. On
it's
the
so true. We're
like
halfway
that,
there.
Stuck with their head in this smartphone making dumb people. But no, episode. All right, cool. What else we got? Oh man, there's so many. All right, here we go. I think this may have been season 2 or season 3. It was basically a social credit system.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
I don't know what the lady's name is. Kind of Little House on the Prairie, like the grading. That she's trying to move up in life. She's trying to get into certain social circles, trying to get a certain house. And so just like we have Uber and all these different grading systems and one another, this was it. But this was every single interaction. Every single interaction you have with a stranger or whatever, you give them a star of how you think they are as a person, who they are. And so she's trying to really, really do this. And she's got a certain group of friends that are of a higher social status. And she's trying to really, really claim that she's in there, get in there. And she has a brother, I think, and the brother's like, you're on some. Like, what you on? Do you know what I mean? And I found it interesting because there are claims that something similar has happened in China. I don't know. All I can do is watch the YouTube and stuff. Something similar is like a social credit system is happening. And so we bear witness to right now to Uber and Airbnb and stuff like that. And that model seems to work. It seems to work, you know, like, all right, what do actual real people on the ground say about who you are as a person and your service or whatever it may be? And based on that, I'm going to make a decision whether or not I give you my business. So yeah, did you see that one?
I did. And I enjoyed that episode. And then I had, obviously the same thing stood out to me. And the immediate parallel, because it's obviously different episodes, some of them, I feel like all of them relate to where we are now in some way, shape or form, some of them more clearly than others. That one, I think, like you were saying, very, very self-evident that we're there. And as you said, bit of it, again, causes contention straight away, because in some ways that model, as you're saying right now, does work. I jump on TripAdvisor for things and I might say, all right, I'm not going to book this hotel immediately just based on yada, yada, this. I'm not really feeling that. All right, good, I'm gone, you know? Positives and negatives to that, because people can leave vindictive reviews. But, you know, generally speaking, we can pass our way through that by reading enough to say, okay, well, enough people are saying this, enough people are saying that. Okay, I know where I'm at. Make a general opinion. Definite positives. When it comes then to doing that with individuals, though, like you on the last topic, I am out. I am totally out. I'm already someone who is totally out on social media. I don't really exist. I mean, I have profiles on a couple of them, but none of them been used for 5-6 years. And they were only ever attempted to be used for business purposes. Like, I see that thing coming. I see it coming so quickly, and it scares the crap out of me. I'll be honest with you. Because the idea that we generate this system which forces us to care deeply about the outcomes of every interaction with other people, that forces us to look at each other in a more judgmental way than ever. We already have a massive issue in ourselves because of the nature of our beings with judgment, because we all have this plane in our minds, this story that's constantly going along that we tell ourselves, that we call ourselves our life. It's a story that we're constantly unfolding internally, regardless of what's happening on the outside. We've got this inner monologue, and we are constantly judging based on it, grading different things, different people, different services, whatever. The idea that you kind of codify that into real life and make it an official part of existence, reinforcing that constant judging thing, that I think is something we need to move away from. We need to move towards an experiential paradigm where it's really all about experiencing, sharing, growing in knowledge. That's really hard to do when everything's a social grading.
How do you differentiate? Because you say sharing experience, leaving a feedback or or judging somebody or rating somebody, is that not leaving it like sharing experience?
No. Judging someone is making a decision based on limited data points, generally speaking, right?
So you're almost kind of like, okay, so this is my experience here and here and here, but you don't actually have an actual rating system attached to that.
No, when I say experience, I'm not talking about experiences and not in the way that social media people do it now. I'm going away and having a frigging Krakatoa Fire Island experience. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about experience of moving through life, understanding situations, learning how to understand personality types, learning how to navigate your way through life, learning how to find what peace is for you, what satisfaction is for you, what happiness is for you, what the components of that are. Be it having someone that understands them, having meaningful work, having being able to look at themselves in the mirror and feel that they are a good person based on whatever their experience has taught them that a good person is. It will manifest itself in different ways, but none of those have got to do with looking at everybody around you and judging them. Looking at someone, understanding a personality type, trying to get a deeper understanding of where that comes from, the basis behind it, how you then interact with it, or how you don't interact with it. Dependent. That's one thing. But walking around and being like, this person is not wearing the net, it's Jasper Conran, you know what? 4. They're going down to a 4, blah, blah, blah. It becomes a very surface interactional basis kind of thing, you know? Judgments for me are not useful. Temporary assignments, temporary, not even labels, but temporary, classifying people under broad categories and then adapting that as you get to know them better and as you understand more about them. That's one thing. Snap judgments, rating system, boom. That's not constructive in terms of an ongoing conversation, individually or in society.
But yet you use like TripAdvisor and stuff like that.
Absolutely, because when it comes to spending money, you're going to do it once. There's not a relationship built up. If I'm going to a hotel, I'm not building a relationship.
Your issue is more like on a personal.
It's much more interpersonal. I don't really have it as a problem for services. I see issues with it for services, but I see way more benefits. And I think generally most people will use those things in the way they're intended. You get loads of trolls. You get trolls anywhere. The internet generates trolls because there's lots of people who either 12-year-olds, sit in the bedroom going, hey, I'm going to write this swear word. Or you get, 60-year-old trolls with an opinion and a mindset that can't change and are just going to throw out their hate on given things or whatever, or super positivity on certain things. But I think most people use those kind of things for services in a positive way. I don't feel that in an interpersonal situation, it goes the same way.
Once again, I agree with you. Right. Okay. So I wanted to ask you about the actual title Black Mirror, what that means to you. And then also there was an episode, don't remember where, it was how dating is going to happen. And it's basically just almost like a Tinder thing. And you match with somebody, whatever the basis is, and then you have an amount of time to have sex with them.
Right.
And then basically it's no strings attached. There's no emotion involved whatsoever. It's almost like a very, very, very predetermined, constructive, strong rules way of hooking up. No emotion. So the rules are no emotion. It's like you move on, and then even I think they provide room for you to consummate the do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you move on, you have dates. So it's almost like, what would life be like if we now were just hooking up, emotionless sets, just continuing like that? And it's interesting because as per usual, somebody becomes emotionally invested, but you got to watch it.
Okay, well, tell me what came out of it for you. You can still have a short.
I think that with the advent of dating apps and even the whole method, it's a genius. The way that Tinder works and was set up is absolutely genius, because essentially it plays on the fact of, okay, cool. It's like a pack of cards, isn't it? You have
as in dating cards and swiping.
Right, yeah. Right, so it's a pack of cards and you just literally just swipe.
Right.
And what it does is it's so pretentious. It's like most people are not going to read the bio of what the person's like. What am I physically attracted to this person? Do I want to sleep with them? Yeah. Swipe. And so you'll have women on there that I'm not here for the hookups and stuff like that, but that's what Tinder's about, type of thing. So anyway, any which way, this particular episode for me is just like an enhanced version of that. It's like, okay, cool. So how about if everything was all the cards are on the table, and it's like, look, physical attraction's there, just want to sleep with you. Go out, we'll have dinner, And I think if I remember when they're having dinner, they might even rate them and it's the rating is, do I want to see it with this person while they're having dinner? If I remember right, it's been so long. And then they go and it's so cold. It's so emotionless. So what I took out of that is that the world could be going in that direction. I think there's always going to be relationships like what do they call it? Where's my vocabulary gone, please?
Oh, I know the feeling well.
Monogamous. It's always going to be monogamous relationships. It's just I think it's no. Let's never go there. It's always going to be monogamous relationships, irrespective of this. But I think that this is also a new maybe framework, or not so new framework for where it's become very, very accepted, where people don't want to, because when you're emotionally invested, things come with that. You know, expectations come with that, and if people don't want that, or for whatever reason it may be, that could be an option.
Is it something you would consider yourself using?
At some point in my life, I don't know if at this point, but maybe when I was a little bit younger. Yeah, because they, you know, from a man's perspective, there can be complications when a man just wants that, and a woman, society tells a woman not to be so upfront with that. That's what they want. Do you know what I mean? So swiftly moving on. One thing about Black Mirror to kind of wrap things up is that they're always ahead of the curve. Everything's ahead of that. Like they're pretty much prophetic for me. It's a prophetic series. If you haven't seen it and this sounds interesting to you, take your time, sit down and watch it. I've told so many people to watch it. They struggle to get past the first 1 and 2 episodes. Trust me, it gets better. Watch everything. Just watch it and take it in. I mean, it's years old now. It should still be on Netflix. I think there's 4 seasons.
I think 5 is the latest one's 5. I think
5 seasons. Yeah. And yeah, some really, 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 really great ones in there. So to wrap up, what's the title? Why was that title used, and what does it mean to you? What do you infer from that title?
So, trying to be real brief with this, my answer to this is a bit dodgy because I don't know. I know I've read somewhere or have been told somewhere something that Charlie Brooker, the writer, had said about the title. And I can't remember exactly what that was, but I know I'm juxtaposing that with my own thoughts. So forgive me, anybody, if I say now something that someone else has said before. It's quite possible. But for me, Black Mirror, conceptually, it's very much the title I take as being very much a TV thing. Like, in fact, I'm sure this is something that he said. When the TV's off, it presents a Black Mirror. All right. We watch the TV and we're subsumed. We enter worlds. When the TV goes off, what it reflects is the you sitting there consuming. And for me, that is sort of the essence of the Black Mirror. I think there's other ways, like the metaphors I could put on that to look at it. But for me, that's the essence of it. For me, there's something really stark about that image.
So when the TV goes off, I'm trying to get my head around that.
When the TV goes off, you got that screen, just a black screen,
and you can see your reflection.
And you can see your reflection, and it's slightly distorted, and it's darkened, and you don't see the detail. That reflection right there, that distorted, dulled reflection of the pure consumer who's sitting there literally consuming other people's content. For me, that is the image I have for Black Mirror. And when they show the sort of the intro screen for Black Mirror, and you hear the zzz, the static go across the screen and the crack come down, for me, there's something really that grabs me about that image. There's something about the broken reflection. It's reflecting the idea that we see the world through a bunch of other people's ideas, because most of us spout stuff that we've heard from other people. It might be from the news, it might be from papers, it might be from friends, it might be from a teacher, it might be from parents, but it's stuff that we regurgitate. And sometimes we take it on as our own ideas and then we spout it proudly, but we took it from somewhere. I love watching movie reviews, right? So I find myself watching movie reviews before and after I watch a movie. I watch regular reviews and I watch the spoiler reviews, and I have my own opinion, but there's other people whose voices I'm interested in, so I like to hear what they say. And I find myself sometimes talking to other people about a movie, and I'll repeat something that whole sentence came from this particular review or whatever, or this pundit. And I realized, Jesus Christ, my ideas are not as my own as I want them to be. You see what I mean? There's something of all of that in there. For you, what is it? I'll
tell you what's really funny is I never thought about it. Literally, as we were speaking now, I thought about Black Mirror. What's the title about? So this is on the fly. Once again, influenced by what you said, because you answered first. the word black in the English language has got nothing but negative connotations. And so mirror is reflective. And so it's, if we're looking at us, it's essentially the same thing you're saying, but it's devoid of actually the physical TV. It's if we're to look at ourselves and the worst part of ourselves, what is it? How are we going to behave? And that for me is exemplified in the episodes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool, and it's all the anchor is technology. Everything's about technology. Technology is destroying us. It's not enhancing us. That's what I'm getting from Black Mirror. It's destroying us, and it's going to lead to our demise.
Interesting.
That's what I'm getting from it.
Okay.
And so the Black Mirror is if we look at ourselves and look at the lowest part of ourselves, what do we see? Boof, there he goes. He shows us the episodes.
Fascinating.
So,
go on.
If you haven't seen Black Mirror, you need to see Black Mirror, and just I know some of them can be hard to watch. Watch them and see what you can infer from them, and it's some really we didn't even speak. There's loads we didn't speak about, but
Tons.
So yeah. So anyway, this is Real Versations. So we take out the con. And we're going to be very real with what we talk about. So it's Real Versations. And subscribe, like, share, comment, all that stuff there. Tell us what you want us to talk about. That's interesting. Yeah, so we can continue with this. And yeah, we will be back soon.
See y'all same bat time, same bat channel next week. Ciao.